888-835-2414.
This is Learning with Leslie. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learning with Leslie, the podcast where we focus on creating an impact from home, at home, and beyond. No, I'm not talking about the kind of impact that will fall by the wayside when Google has a mood swing. I'm talking about the kind that will thrive no matter what gets thrown at it. I'm your host, Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. And as usual, I have another exciting episode for you today. In today's episode 413, we're going to be talking about making and keeping friends as an adult. Man, this is something that so many people struggle with. I mean, we start out as kids and life just seemed like it's almost always about having friends and having a good time and all that good stuff. But then we grow up, we get jobs, we get careers, we start businesses, we start families, and our time is limited. And what falls by the wayside is often our relationships. And the results can be quite terrible. We feel lonely, isolated, and lose our motivation. Well, today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to address this head on and offer some solutions. So if you care about friendships, that's what we're going to be talking about today. What is up? Hope you are having a better than stupendous day. And if you're not, I hope that by the end of this episode, it'll be a little better than stupendous. As usual, I gotta let you know that this episode is brought to you by our sponsors at Ecamm Live. This is the software that I'm using to produce this episode, and all the professional stuff that happens, I'm not editing. It just happens because I click a button and it just happens. If you want to check it out, if you want to take your video production to the next level, head on over to ecamm.com/Leslie. Use the promo code Leslie and that'll save you 15% off your first payment. All right. We got to talk about this topic because this is a big topic. I posted this on Facebook, and I'll tell you about the post in a little while and some of the comments that came in related to this topic. And it showed me that this is something that is so important and we got to get into it. So without any further ado, let's do it. All right, so there was a study that was done in May of 2021. It's called the American Perspectives Survey, and it was conducted by the Survey Center on American Life. So yes, it is specific to America because that's where the survey took place. But I believe that a lot of what is found here, yes, it's relevant to people that live in America, but it's also relevant to people that are living across the globe. Let me show you what was found. First of all, in 1990, 33% of the participants of that survey reported to having 10 or more close friends. So 33%, that's a significant amount of people that have 10 or more, not just friends, but close friends. Now, this was done in 2021, and that number was no longer 33%, but it came down to 13%. So in 2021, 13%, almost a third as many people said that they have 10 or more close friends. In 1990, 3% of people said they had no close friends. 3%. What do you think the number is in 2021? In 2021, that number increased to 12%. It quadrupled. That's huge. 4 times as many Americans have no close friends. Now, what does that do? Well, it does a lot. You know, I posted on Facebook, and this is what I posted on Facebook. I'll read the post for you. I said, where's the post? Okay, I'm getting ready to record a different kind of podcast episode. It's about having friends as an adult. How important is it for our profession? How important it is for our professional growth and our personal growth, and how to do it right. and I put that in quotation marks. And I said, I'm curious, in your opinion, is this something people struggle with? Like, is this a problem? Is it something that you've struggled with? Also, what questions do you have? I want to read some of the comments. I'm not going to say who the names for this particular part, but here's one comment. I struggle with it. I love some. No, once I meet someone, I have no trouble being friendly and interested, but being social has never been easy for me. In fact, it's quite a chore. I need to get out and also start up my practice here, but I just feel overwhelmed at how to begin. Someone else says, yes, it is a struggle. I've struggled with this after moving across the country at 50 with no connections. The lockdowns hit about a year into our move. Plus, I'm a major introvert and love my alone time. I was in a serious rut for a long time. And then she goes on. There's so many people that are saying, man, it's been rough. This is a struggle. And it's something that I've noticed. I've noticed that friendships is something that a lot of adults, we struggle with this thing. And it has effects on our mental health. It has effects on just our motivation levels. It has effects on so many different areas of our lives. And what we do is we so focus on our work so that it kind of distracts us from the lack of the relationships, but it doesn't cut it. Right. So I want to get into this. Now, I was having a conversation with a close personal friend of mine, Colin. And at the end of the conversation, because we've been doing this like for years together, I said, dude, I need some ideas for a podcast episode. And he's like, all right, he got into that zone. And one of the first things he said is, you know what's something that you're really good at that I think you need to talk about? Because it's something that a lot of people struggle with. Making friends and nurturing those relationships and being a friend to someone else. I think that is something that you need to have a conversation about. And that's when I posted it on Facebook. And that's when I got all that feedback. And that's when I decided, you know what? I need to talk about this. So this is a big topic. It's a huge topic. And it's one that's close to my heart because I value relationships so much. And here's one thing I want to start off by saying. Whatever you focus on, whatever you work on, it improves. Like, if I struggle with something and I determine I want to do better at this, and I work on it in the right way, it improves. Now, it's interesting, right? Because as kids, my daughter, my kids, we go to this place on a weekly basis. We go to this indoor amusement park, and they just love it. There's a lot of trampolines that they can jump around, and my son loves to play dodgeball, and my daughter likes to play all the stuff there. And most of all, she loves making friends. And this is how she does it. It is actually very simple. She will see someone and she'll go up to them, start playing with that person and say, hey, want to be friends? And the other person says, yes. And for the rest of that time, you know what they're doing? They're hanging out. They're as if they are best of friends and they've known each other all their lives. But then we start growing up, right? And as we start growing up, things change, right? We get our careers, we have our families, we start having kids like me with these two that we have here. And life gets busy. Our priorities shifts. Yeah, I went to college, and I remember at college, there were all these friends around and these people that, you did school and life with, and then you move on and all this stuff happens. And when all this stuff happens, it becomes harder and harder. We don't just now go up to other adults and be like, hey, want to be friends? And then they say, yes. And then we start playing. No, it doesn't go down like that anymore as we grow up. And it becomes more of a struggle. Do you identify with that at all? I want to know. Let me know. Give me some feedback. Come to the comments. Leave a comment or something of that sort. Is that something that you've experienced? And maybe, we move across the country. We moved to a different country. I came from St. Martin. Now I live in America, right? Then I lived in Michigan and we moved down here to Florida. So much has changed. And every time you change, it's like you got to recalibrate, right? Like, okay, now, I got to get to know new people. And how do you navigate those relationships? And people are busy and you might not feel comfortable imposing on people because there's so many things to think about now that you're grown. But the reality is that this has a serious impact. It makes us feel lonely. It makes us feel isolated. There's impact on our mental health. There's impact on our sense of fulfillment because we don't have those relationships that nurture us, that cause us to be more stressed than we used to be. And it's like everything just piles onto it. Now, I want to talk about how important friendships are. Friendships do something for us. They do a whole lot for us. When you have people in your lives that you can trust, that you can call on, if I have to move, it's nice to be able to call on some people to help me move. Or if I need to do something, or I need to get somewhere and my car broke down and I need someone to come and pick me up, it's nice to have someone that you can call on and say, yo, my car broke down. Can you come and get me? Yes, you could do Uber. But having those relationships, having those people that you feel comfortable with, that you can make those emotional connections with, that just adds so much color to our lives. Now, here's the thing, right? Friendships don't only help us personally, they help us professionally. I have a group of friends that are a part of a mastermind group with me. We've been together. I've mentioned this a number of times, but we've been together for over a decade now. And every Wednesday we get together and we pour into each other. Someone is in the hot seat, and if I'm in the hot seat this week, I'm talking about whatever it is I'm facing, and these other 5 guys are there to support me, to encourage me, to give me, to challenge me, to push me, to just be there for me. And recently, what we started doing on some Saturday nights, we'd get together online in a Zoom room and play poker online. I've never played poker before, but we've done it twice over the last month or so, and it was so much fun. And the common thing was man, I didn't expect to enjoy that so much, but man, that was fun. It does something to us personally, but it also does a lot to us professionally. If I'm friends with people in a certain industry and I need something from that industry, or I'm attending an event and the person that's organizing the event is a close personal friend of mine, that puts me in a different category than just a regular attendee. So there are professional benefits as well to friendships, right? If I'm a business coach and my friend knows that I'm an amazing business coach, and my friend meets someone that needs an amazing business coach, who are they going to recommend? Right? So I'm mentioning that for those of you that are like, man, I'm too busy for this friendship things. I need to advance it professionally. I need to advance in my business or in my career. Well, friendships help you advance it with that as well. I'm reading this book right now. I actually just finished, I call it reading, but it's actually listening to an audiobook. But I just finished listening to this book, and it's called The $1 Trillion Coach. Not million, not billion, but trillion. This guy, Bill Campbell, was a coach to so many of these top CEOs, Steve Jobs and Eric Schmidt from Google, and a bunch of the most successful companies you can think of. He was the guy. He was kind of the guy behind the guys, behind the women that are extremely successful in Silicon Valley and all of that stuff. And what was interesting is that he was such an anomaly because of how much he valued friendships and relationships and putting the person, like the relationship with the person above the numbers, and working with a team and getting that team to love each other. He's the kind of guy that would hug everyone and kiss people, and it was never seen as inappropriate because they understood his heart and they knew that he cared about them as individuals. And it was such a different type of book than I expected it to be, because I thought $1 trillion Coach, it's going to teach you all the marketing strategies and business strategies. And the book was all about relationships, friendships, relationships help you professionally as well. So, okay. So we know it's a problem that so many people struggle with. Surveys are telling us that. People on Facebook are telling me that. You might be feeling some of that. So what do we do about this, right? How do we, as adults, meet friends, make friends, keep friends, nurture friendships, and come to a place where we have people in our lives that we care about, that care about us. I'm there for that person. That person is there for me, and nothing will change that. So first, let's talk about how to make friends, how to meet friends. First thing you have to ask yourself is this something that is important to me? Like, is this a priority? Like, do I really care about making friends? I might be introverted, I might be extroverted, whatever the case might be. But do I see the value in friendships? If you are like me and you do see the value in friendships, it needs to be a priority. And I need to be open to making those friendships. So number one, let's decide that this is important. Let's not act as if, well, relationships, not a big deal. I don't need, no. Let's actually value it. Let's say that it's important to us. I will be the first. It is extremely important to me to have friends that I can count on. To have people in my life that if I call them, I know that they're going to be there. I have those people in my life. And they are extremely important to me. My wife has those people in her life. They are extremely important to her. That's first thing. Let's just accept it. So where do we find these people? Well, I mean, you can find these people anywhere, right? In your workplace. If you go to the gym, you could find people at the gym, community events, things that you're interested in, hobbies. When I go, I've made friends at the place that we go, the indoor amusement park that I take my kids to every Sunday. Well, there are other parents there that are there with their kids, that are prioritizing time with their kids. That's a big deal for me. I've met a number of people at those places because my daughter was playing with their daughter, or my son was playing with their son, or whatever the case might be. And then we struck up a conversation. When you are open to something and you accept that this is something that is a priority for you, all of a sudden it opens up these different avenues. So put yourself in places, things that you are interested in. Let's say you're interested in like certain types of classes, woodworking. Let's say you're interested in hiking. Well, you can find people that are interested in these things as well by doing these things and just being open to that. I have a client, she just became a new mom. So she goes to these mommy groups and she's met a number of people at these mommy groups. She's taking her baby in a little, what do you call it thing? I'm so out of practice. Strollers, yes, to the park. Well, there are other moms that are taking their kids to the park in strollers. And because you are open to that and it's a priority for you, It makes things possible that might not have been possible when you weren't even thinking about it or when you didn't make it a priority. Another place you can go to is meetup.com. We went on a hike the other day with a meetup group that is in this area that they go hiking and they do all of these activities. There are things on there with people that do board games. Like, you can find these groups if it is a priority. The reality is this, right? If I go to my exercise has become extremely important to me, to the point that for my wife and I, we took our 2-car garage and made it into a full gym. And every day I go in there and I exercise. You know what happens? I get stronger. Why? Because I show up and it's a priority and I focus on it and I watch videos on how to do certain types of exercises and then I go and I do it. If it's a priority for you, you're gonna focus on it. And if you focus on it, you can't help but improve. That's a fact. Okay? So, now you're at these events, right? You're at these groups and there's that awkwardness, right? Because somebody has to make the first move. Or like there's something you have to do or that has to be done in order to initiate contact. Be the person to initiate contact. Like, go up to someone and say, "Hey, how you doing?" That's simple. You'd be surprised at what can happen to that. Sometimes it might fall flat. But once in a while, you meet someone and you have a conversation and it goes well. And it goes from there. Like, if it's important, do it. If it's important, do it. And there are all these online resources, whether it's meetup.com, whether it's Facebook groups for your particular area or other types of groups for your particular area. Focus on finding those people. Now, yes, you can do it online. You can do it offline. I like offline, but I've used online. Colin is someone I met online. We connected online, and next thing you know, we became friends. Next thing you know, I went to visit him. Next thing you know, he moved to this area, and now we connect on a regular basis. That is significant. Then there are people that I met in college. Then there are people that I met at the theme park. Then there are people that I meet at church. There's so many people that you can meet if you make it a priority. Now, what if you get rejected? If you get rejected, that's okay. That's a part of the process. Whenever you open up yourself to a potential relationship, there is a possibility that you're going to get rejected. Even if the relationship is just a simple friendship, you can be rejected. Not every attempt will be successful, and that is okay. I actually want you to go in with the expectation that sometimes it's not going to work out, because you know what? You can't be close friends with everyone. No. You gotta, it's just like dating, right? I can't date everyone. Some people, there's gonna be cohesion. Others, no. And that's okay. But the more I put myself out there, the more I meet certain types of people, and you think it's gonna go somewhere, and it doesn't. But then there's that one person that you meet and you connect with and you click. That's what you're looking for. So it's okay to be rejected. It's okay for you to reject someone, because not everyone is going to work for you. The key thing to remember is this: it's a journey. But if it's important and if you focus on it, you're going to improve. And if we actually take it like a journey and something that I want to get better at, regardless of whether I'm an introvert or not an introvert, I will improve and I will start to meet people. And some of those people I'm going to connect with at a superficial level. A few of those people I'm going to connect with at a deeper level. And that's what I'm going for. Okay, so that's all about the where you find those people and how do you start. But then where do you go from there? This is the thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, in addition to just making those friendships. How do you maintain and how do you go deeper with certain friends? You can't get deeper with friends unless you spend time with them. Like, if it's important to me, if a relationship is important to me, I have to spend time with that person, regardless of what kind of relationship it is. So if my relationship with my kids are important to me, I have to spend time with my kids. If my relationship with my wife is important to me, I have to spend time with my wife. If my relationship with my friends are important to me, I have to spend time with my friends. If my relationship with my coworkers are important to me, I have to spend time with my coworkers. That's how the relationship grows. That's number one. You have to make time. It's important to check in regularly, whatever regularly means in the context of that relationship. The next thing is this. There's a book that I read once that is that's been huge for me. And the title of the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read that book because friendships are important to me. I didn't read that book because I wanted to figure out how I could leverage friendships to make more money, to grow my business. No. Those relationships are just important. So I will read that book and I will read other books on relationships and friendships. And the biggest thing that I've learned about friendships and going deep with people is that you gotta listen. Like, actively listen to people. When someone is talking to me, I'm there to listen to them. I'm not there necessarily to tell them what to do, even though sometimes I might tell them what to do, but I want them to feel like I am paying like they have my undivided attention. And when people see that you actually care about them, it does something. You know why? Because so many people feel like people don't care about them. I'll give you a simple example that was extremely superficial to me. We were going to a graduation one day, and it was like 4 of us in a car, and we were driving up to the entrance, and there were people there to greet you and to tell you where to go. And the lady that was at the booth, she said to me, "Hello, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great. How are you doing?" And she was like taken back. She was like, "Oh my goodness, you are so nice. That's the nicest thing anyone has done all day." And when I heard that, I thought to myself, wait a minute. All I said was, "I'm doing well. How are you doing?" I mean, I actually meant it when I asked it. But because I did that simple thing, she felt something different. And there were thousands of people that entered that entrance that day. The reality is, when we pay attention to people, they feel it. And the better we are at doing that, the closer our relationships are going to be able to, the closer our relationships are going to get. And that's just a fact. If you are genuinely interested in people, I was at an event recently, and this is so weird that it felt weird because it's what I do. I was at this event, Social Media Marketing World, and I was talking to someone. It was Ali Bloyd, and she was just asking me these questions, and they were great questions, but they were like I said, "Man, you are really, really good at asking questions." And I said, "This doesn't normally happen. Usually I'm the one that's asking these questions." And she said something like, "Well, you know what? The reason I'm asking such great questions is because I'm genuinely interested. Like, I really care about getting to know you. So I'm going to ask these questions, and it's just natural. I don't have to figure out what question to ask because I'm just really curious about who you are. And I was on the other side of that. And I thought to myself, this is exactly what I do. When I'm asking people questions, it's not because I'm trying to get something out of them. It's because I'm genuinely interested in how that person thinks. I'm genuinely interested in who that person is. And if you are genuinely interested in how someone thinks and who they are, they're going to feel something that is different from most of the interactions that they have, because most of the interactions that they have are superficial. So I want to encourage you, like, if this is important to you, be genuinely interested in other people. Okay, the next thing is this. For these relationships to grow, let's say you're growing a group of friends. Doing things together is a huge deal. One of the biggest reasons we moved to this area in the Tampa Bay area that we're in right now is because we had family here. And we moved here and we connected with our family, and then they had some friends. But then what we started doing every single Saturday, that's my Sabbath, every Sabbath after we go to church, we're going to have a potluck. And a group of us, it might be 15 of us, it might be 20 of us, we go between different homes, and it's a thing that we do religiously. If we don't do it, something is wrong. And just by having that, like facilitating something like that, where we can all get together every week, it's like Thanksgiving. Imagine a Thanksgiving meal, like a huge Thanksgiving meal. We literally do that every single week. The only difference between a Thanksgiving meal and what we do every week is that the Thanksgiving meal happens on a Thursday and we make sure to have turkey as one of the options. But this stuff is so important to us that we do it every single week. You gotta, if it's a priority, you make time for it. Now, with that, with getting closer to people, the reality is there's gonna be conflict. I want you to accept the fact that there's gonna be conflict, because you know what? Just like in marriage, anytime two people get together, there's potential for disagreements. That is a natural and healthy part of relationships. So expect it. But you approach those disagreements with respect. It's not just about me getting my point across, but in those disagreements, I need to understand where that other person is coming from. And if I make a valiant effort to understand that person before, that statement, seek first to understand rather than to be understood. If I make a genuine effort with someone that I'm close with to understand where they're coming from, that's going to do something for our relationship. It's going to do something for that disagreement, and it's going to strengthen that bond. That is just a reality. So, number one, be open and make this a priority. Friendships are important to me, so I will prioritize friendships. Number two, put yourself in places. Because this is important to you, put yourself in places and in situations to make those relationships more likely to happen. Number three, make time for those relationships. Number four, actively listen. Make it a priority to understand where they are coming from. And if that person is the right kind of person, they're going to be doing the same thing as well. And lastly, expect there to be conflict. Two people are always going to have opportunities to disagree. But if I can approach that from a perspective of seeking first to understand that person and then to be understood, you'd be amazed at what can happen in that relationship. I am so blessed and so grateful to have some extremely close friends, male and female. My best friend, besides my wife, is actually a female. Her name is Jeanette. We've been close friends for years. We respect each other. We value each other. We make time for each other on a regular basis. And it's because it's important to me and it's important to her. My other best friends, I have best friends that are male, best friends that are female. Wait, can you call them best friends if it's more than one? I don't know. But I just love my friends. I love my friends so much, and it's so important to me. Make it a priority. Does that make sense? So I posted it on Facebook. I posted this thing on Facebook, and there was one question left. And I want to address that question because this question is such a good question. So we're going to get into it right after I once again tell you about the sponsor of this episode and all of the episodes that I've been doing recently, Ecamm Live. Listen, I don't know how I would do this podcast the way that I'm doing it if I didn't have Ecamm Live. Because the reality is the only person that touches this podcast is me. From the planning to the recording to the edit. No, I don't do any editing. Why don't I do any editing? Because I'm using Ecamm Live on my Mac, and it allows me to bring things on the screen. It allows me to switch between cameras. It allows me to do all this fancy stuff that I'm doing. It just makes it easy to put together a professionally produced video without having to spend a bunch of time editing. You probably know, if you've edited videos in the past, how much time it takes. Well, you know how much time it takes me? 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Why? Because I have Ecamm Live on my side. Check them out at ecamm.com/Leslie and use the promo code Leslie to save 15% off your first payment. That means if you pay for the year, you get 15% off the entire year, and that's an amazing deal. ecamm.com/Leslie, and I thank them for their sponsorship. Okay, let's get to this question, because this question is a huge deal. Christopher White asked this. How do I know the difference between myself needing to put more effort into reaching out to my friends versus my friends needing to put more effort into reaching out to me? Oh man, that's a big deal. Because here's the reality, right? A relationship takes two. A marriage takes two. A friendship takes two. Here's the key. I want to make sure that the friends that I am really connecting with, like the ones that I'm letting into my inner circle, my Colin, my Jeanette, my Gina, my Kirk, there are some friends for me where I know that we are gonna connect. No, we are connected at a certain level. And I can do it with them because we have similar values. And the relationship is important to both of us. This is the same thing like if I'm getting into a relationship with someone, I can't be really into a healthy relationship with someone that doesn't want to be in a healthy relationship with me, that doesn't value me. Okay? That's point number one. You want to make sure that your values are aligned. And if your values are not aligned, there's going to be an unequal dynamic in that relationship. So there are certain people that I might want to be close friends with, that it's just not going to work. And I accept that. Like I said before, right? In some cases, it's going to work out. In other cases, it's not. Now, once I know that our values are aligned, and number two, relationships are important to both of us, I'm going to make an effort if I want this relationship to get closer. I'm going to make an effort. But if I continue making an effort and that effort is rejected, or it's continually being rejected, or there's no reciprocal effort being made, at a certain point, I tried my best. This is not going to work out. And that's okay. It doesn't mean anything negative about that person. It doesn't mean any like they're not a bad person because they're not reaching out to me. But maybe this is not meant to be. Maybe it's not meant to be right now. Maybe there's a certain situation that's going on in their life that I need to be sensitive to that might require me to be the one making more of an effort. And maybe it's time to move on. How do I know the difference? I know the difference. The difference becomes more clear over time. So the way I would approach a situation like that is, if it's very important to me, I'm going to try. If it's still not getting there, I'm going to continue trying. But at a certain point, I might just say, you know what? Sometimes you just let something go and see if it happens, if it happens naturally in the future or not. You put your effort in to a level that makes sense. And if it's reciprocated, great. If not, then it might be time to move on. That's not a concrete answer in terms of this is when you know the difference between you needing to put more effort into reaching out to your friends and your friends needing to put more effort into reaching out to me. This is not a concrete answer because I don't think there's a one size fits all for that type of a situation. You do the best that you can, and then at a certain point you decide, okay, I've put in enough effort. Maybe this is not the relationship that I need to fully be investing in. Maybe there's another relationship. And you just kind of navigate that over time and you see where that leads. I hope that makes sense. I hope that is helpful. I hope this episode was helpful because once again, these relationships make a huge difference in our lives. And if we prioritize these relationships, if we prioritize the fact that this is important, then we can be open to it. We can do the things that we need to do to nurture those relationships, and we can reap the benefits of healthy relationships. It's all about your intention, and it's all about the pointed action that you take. Because if something is important to you and you focus on it, you're gonna get better. Your relationship is gonna get better. If you need to read books about it, like how to win friends and influence people, it's that important, then do it. It's all good. Let's just accept the fact that this is something that we all need and do whatever we can to make it happen. So what are your thoughts? I want to know, is this an issue for you? What are you doing to nurture relationships and to make friendships? Or what do you plan on doing after listening to this episode? Come to IamLeslieSamuel.com/413 because this is episode number 413. But my name is Leslie Samuel. Thank you so much for listening. That's the end of this episode. And until next time, take care and God bless.
Eight, 8, 8, 8, 3, 5, 2